Welcome to the Sharp Way Show. So happy that you are here this evening. It's a little bit right before 7 p.m. I'm early for once. I'm like never early. Today, I'm actually early, like a full minute early today, right before 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So happy to have you here this evening. I am speaking today about a very interesting topic, something that many of us have seen but often don't notice. The way that people in our sports world very often cross over into our political world. Whether they're someone that we see on TV or on the news, whether they run for office after being a sports star, whether they say something that drives us crazy and now we want to throw a hot dog at them, whatever it is, something happens, it pops up often. And I have someone with me who has been in that world, is still in that world, and has the same challenges that many of us have in that world. She is a host and a sports personality, and I'm so happy to have her here, the one, the only, Emily Austin. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And for those of you who want to follow what Emily's doing, you can. It's totally okay. You can do so. Follow her on Instagram at emily.austin, or you can follow her on Twitter at Emily R. Austin. Either one of those, and you'll be fine. So I guess what I got to ask someone who's in that world, right? How does it feel to be political as you are? You have been political in the past. You are an open conservative. Sports world. Is it challenging? Is it an issue?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It becomes an issue when you do meet these people that I thought were, I guess, not as prominent as they are, that just cannot respect a difference of opinion. Now, growing up, I grew up very actively Jewish. I grew up keeping kosher. I grew up always proud of my identity. And I wasn't in a private school. I went to public school. So I was always used to just respecting people's differences that stems to me from religion. And it's no secret that today, not only are we a society that steps away from a religion, but we step away from respect, in my opinion. And I found that especially in politics, because sports, there's less of, I guess, less weight to carry. Like, I want the Knicks to win, you want Philly to win. Haha, we won, you suck, and that's that.
Right.
But when you get into the political sphere, it's definitely more of a heavy subject where it's like, well, who'd you vote for? When did that become an appropriate question? And B, I'm afraid to answer because we not might like each other's answers. And then now there's hostility between us. But that's the issue. It shouldn't be that way. So
this piece, I think, really does bother me personally, because I always think of sports as kind of being the last place where there's a meritocracy in our country, right? There's really a meritocracy, right? Can you score the points? Can you block the ball? Can you throw the ball? Can you catch it? Can you kick it? Whatever. Can you do the thing? And you can. The scoreboard is clear. The championship is clear. Can you do it or you can't? And I want my sports personalities to be the same way. But I feel like in certain areas they can't, right? If you look at an example, I think most people would agree, ESPN has been leaning towards politics recently, last several years, and has been leaning left. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the meritocracy. Is it me or is that real?
No, it's definitely real. And I think reason being America has become more divisive in politics. And I would say, honestly, the country is probably the most divided it's ever been. And specifically in sports, by no means did I get into the sports world because I wanted to gain a platform to then speak on politics. At the end of the day,
right.
You're going to go home. You're going to have your not work life, your family, whoever is there at home. I'm going to leave. I'm going to have my opinions and my real issues, of course. And I don't believe that it's meant to be shared in the workspace. Now, again, there's only so much you can do. I remember there was a whole conversation surrounding should athletes even have an opinion in politics?
Yes, absolutely.
The answer is how not. We live in a country. We have freedom of speech. But it can't be speech that only fits one's agenda. We need to have that universal freedom of speech. If you don't like my opinion, we still need to be able to have that conversation. And I don't fear whether or not you're going to give me looks the next day. And vice versa, by the way. And I feel like we've definitely lost that, and which goes back to the sense of respect that we don't have for one another if we differentiate in politics. You can't tell anyone of any caliber, like, you just need to stick to X, Y, and Z, because as times change, also, current events change. And sometimes you do need to be vocal about things, but it can't be so, polar.
But hold on. I think we had two different sides on this one relatively recently. The one that was probably the most popular on the left was the Colin Kaepernick thing, right? When he took the knee, others took the knee. And then the most recent one, which is kind of more on the right, which was, I forgot the name of the hockey player, but it was a hockey player who refused to go out on a Pride Day, right? Who said, I'm not suit up because I got to wear a Pride flag. I'm Orthodox Christian and I don't believe in this, and I'm not going to go out. Does that matter? In other words, should you, as someone, say, well, you know what? Colin Kaepernick took a knee and I'm right-leaning, so I'm not going to watch the NFL, or I'm not going to pay attention to this thing, or this guy didn't go out because LGBT and I'm on the left, so I'm not going to watch his team, or I'm not going to watch the NHL. I mean, where should we in this?
I just think that's so silly. Like, of course, I personally don't love Kaepernick. I honestly, quite frankly, I think he's a little bit of a hypocrite. Not a little bit. I think he's a hypocrite. I don't know why I said a little bit. I think at this point it's a clout chasing thing.
Ooh,
sorry,
okay.
Colin. I don't think it's that personal to him. I think he was a mediocre guy that found a way to get a lot of clout, took a knee. If he did it for the right patriotic reasons, listen, I'm not him at the end of the day. I don't think that's what it was about. Now we're talking about that hockey player, and I know who you're speaking about.
Yep.
If he's an Orthodox Christian, whatever values he believes, who is anyone to judge him on that? For example, I'm Jewish, and if I say, hey, I can't eat pork because that goes against my religion, dare you tell me that's not okay? And I understand there are two instances, and everyone will say, well, you can't compare. But you can, because you cannot selectively choose which aspects of one's religion you care about versus which ones I deem not okay. Because then where do you draw the line? Then you lose that freedom of religion. So if the man is saying I'm an Orthodox Christian, and I think there was another aspect to it. Was he from Russia or something where he's like, I'd be killed for this? I heard something like that. Even more so, how dare we judge him? Now, you don't have to like what he's saying. You don't. I've heard people tell me, you killed Jesus, and in my prophecy you guys all die. And okay, I don't like what you're saying.
I've heard that too.
But I'm not gonna come and now be hostile towards you. Like, we'll shake hands, agree to disagree. I don't have to like you to respect you. And I think that's what people need to understand.
What I have to believe, and look, if I'm wrong, you just tell me I'm wrong. I've got to believe that people in your field are judging you. That they're like, you know what? Do we really want her around this guy? Or do we really want her around this person? Or should she go to this event? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like people are going to be like, you know what? Let's put Emily over here and not over here. Am I wrong? I mean, tell me. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you tell me that I'm wrong.
Listen, it's so funny. It's not the first time I've been asked. I wouldn't know if you're wrong, because if I haven't gotten an opportunity because of my views, I wouldn't know about it. I guess it would have never been prompted to me, but it's a good question. But in terms of being judged, I've gone viral on Twitter a few times. I feel like we all have at this point. And I tweeted something. Oh, I got so much hate for it. It's so funny. I was a Kyrie Irving stan, his #1 fan. I backed him up amidst all his craziness. And when he decided not to get vaccinated, I stood by him. Because I said, if you guys preach my body, my choice, which me as a conservative, you want to have abortion, you go have one. I would not, but you do you. And don't judge me for not wanting to, because I don't care what you're doing, that's fine. That's part of the respect. But now when it comes to vaccines, the same way we preach my body, my choice, it applies to that too. And this is coming from a vaccinated person who did it because I had no choice. I didn't want to get kicked out of school and lose my job. Not because I believe.
know the feeling.
I did not want to get vaccinated. I don't put anything in my body. I'm clean about my skincare, the food I put in my mouth, even the clothing I wear. And now you want me to put in a vaccine. We couldn't cure diseases for years, but suddenly we have a cure for COVID. Anyway, not getting into that. I got my vaccine, but Kyrie Irving did not. And I stood by him for that. And oh my goodness, the cancel culture came for me, which I don't believe in, by the way. I don't believe in cancel culture, because you cannot zip my mouth shut. So as long as I have a mouth, and God bless, it's working, I don't believe in cancel culture.
Well, it's funny you say that. I think most people who don't get canceled are those people who refuse to get canceled.
Right. Look at Dave Portnoy. The guy's been canceled 100 times.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
So
with
by
that
the way,
being said,
you have some fans here already. Michael says, "Love the work you do." So you've got some fans, so that's good.
thank you.
You do have some fans, absolutely, yes.
I appreciate that.
I do want to ask you, I guess, a question that's kind of simple, which is, why does someone like you even get into sports? Why does that happen? Why aren't you like, I don't know, doing some, vlog on YouTube or doing some Twitch stream and yelling about values or something? Why did you decide sports?
So I grew up an athlete. I played competitive tennis. I was ranked in the
Oh.
United States. I was really good. And tennis is a very all-consuming sport. It's one-on-one. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it. It's all mental. It's physical. And that's how I was raised, in my competitive mindset. My brother and I both. And there was a point that I played at the Chris Everett Academy, the Nick Boltieri Academy in Florida. And, tennis could be isolating because it's not a team sport. And if I didn't have my brother,
Sure.
even more so, I'd be alone. And a loss in tennis, you take very hard because you can't blame anyone else unless you're playing doubles, of course. And 12, 13 years old, I really just like aged myself here, like in a low way. The Miami Heat won a back-to-back championship in Florida. And now me playing tennis in Florida, I see the roster all over the restaurants and license plates saying Miami Heat and flags. And Florida has a lot of condos, so flags off the balcony. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And how do I get involved? And how do I become a part of this community? And years ago, I never knew where it would lead me today, of course. Like, being a fan, I loved the game, and it gave me this sense of community. Like, oh, you're a Knicks fan? Me too. And I'd find... I walk on the streets of Manhattan wearing a Knicks varsity coat and I make 5 friends. It's very cool. I love the sense of community. And now... I
got it. That's what kind of got you into it then.
That's what got me into it. And then now, I guess, being a couple of years in the game, I really see the value that sports brings to society. I see for young kids, it gives you... You're forced to be social. You're forced to be a teammate. You're going to get yelled at by a coach, and guess what? You have to respect him because he's your elder, which is something, again, people don't do anymore.
I agree.
And I think it instills these values in you from a young age, whatever sport it is, to be a good person, be a team player, and have respect.
I gotta tell you saying that, I have 2 daughters. My daughters now are 19 and 13. And in both cases, I tried to get both of them into some form of team sports. My oldest one played softball, and then she played basketball. She didn't really like it that much. She stopped by the time she was around 15. She stopped playing. 14, maybe she stopped playing. But now she's 19. And she will look back and tell me all the time, Dad, I'm so glad I played. Like, she's very happy she had the experience of it, even though it wasn't really her thing. But to your point, she learned teamwork. She learned listening to a coach. She learned showing up on time for the games. Yeah. She learned all those things that are now helping her out, as she now moves into her career, right? So even though she didn't become an athlete, she still enjoyed it. My youngest one, I only got her into basketball, and then that was it. But even she still thinks it was fun. So I think everything you're saying, I guess I'm just agreeing with you. I think it's really a good idea for people to be into sports, even though I had 2 daughters, and traditionally boys go into sports more than girls do. But I think everyone should, girls and boys. I think team sports is good for everybody.
Me too. I really think, like I said, it just instills values in you in a way that's not like being taught in school, like memorize this, you're going to be quizzed. It's like an activity. It's inclusive. It's fun. I love sports so much.
So let me do a little bit of admin if I could. Guys, if you're listening to this on the podcast or you're watching this, please do me a favor, click that like button. Clicking that like button allows us to get past our enemy algorithm. The algorithm always gets us. So let's get past Al if we could by hitting that like button to the best of our ability. And something else, if you are watching this on Twitter, please retweet this right now. I know you're looking at me and going, wow, Larry, you're a handsome man. And that's true, but you can walk away for 2 seconds and click that retweet. It does matter. Please do that. And if you want your chat to go to the front, you can always super chat me if you're watching on Larry Sharp YouTube. But more importantly, Emily has been nice enough to give us a little bit of love here today. So give her some love in return and follow her on Instagram at emily.austin or follow her on Twitter at Emily R. Austin. So I want to bring up what someone else would bring up with your idea of the vaccines. And Gene says, I was vaccinated, but I don't want government to force everyone to get vaccinated. This is kind of what you were talking about, right? The idea of, look, if you want it, go, you should. And for most people, I think, if you have worries, if you're scared, maybe if you're over 65 and you have visiting conditions and you're worried, you should do what you feel is right for your own work. I mean, I think this is what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. I just feel like, it sets such a bad precedent that we can be forced into doing something with our own body that we don't want to do. Now, this goes the same way as you're never going to force, I hope society doesn't get to this point where food is forced down my throat, or, I just don't think they should have any say in what I choose to do with my body. Now, this goes against both Republican agenda and liberal agenda because they really contradicted one another. The same way I feel like you can have an abortion because my body, my choice, go have your abortion. That's your problem. That's between you and God at that point. Like, I just don't care. But then the liberals, suddenly my body, my choice didn't apply to the vaccines, but they said, no, it's different.
Well, it's funny you brought this up because Missy brings up, she says, I cried with the 2 shots that I took. I wasn't allowed to see my terminally ill father if I didn't. And I think a lot of people felt that way. Like you felt you couldn't go to school if you didn't get your shot, right? I think a lot of people felt they couldn't live their life if they didn't, which again, I'm not against you. If you want to get vaccinated, please get vaccinated. But I get your point. You feel almost bullied into it, right?
Right. I don't believe, like, again, if you want to go get triple vax and double boosted, good for you. You want to wear a mask right now in 2023, good for you. But I remember a guy one time, I wasn't wearing a mask, and I think the pandemic had gotten better at this point. And this disgusting guy walks up to me and coughs in my face. And then he goes, next time wear your mask. If I was a dude,
wow.
If I was a guy, I would have beat him up. But I know my place, and that guy would have destroyed me. So it was the most disgusting thing I think I've ever experienced in my life. And
that is horrible. Well, we got Jay Zimner. He has shown up. He's saying, great chat, guys. Thanks, Jay. It's been a while. I'm glad to see you out there still watching me talk my trash. So that's good. But I want to go then to the next piece, if I could. A lot of people, they look at our sports heroes and they look at them as that, as heroes, as role models, as people we should be looking up to, right? I mean, you can get, Serena and Venus to sell us a whole lot of stuff, right? Because when they say eat McDonald's, we eat McDonald's, or buy the car, we buy the car, or whatever the thing they're hawking of that in that day. We can get them to give us, to sell a lot of stuff, right? Should we be looking at them as role models, or is this a mistake?
I don't even think the question's that simple. I don't think we have a choice. There is no choice. Growing up, for example, when I was in elementary school, I would always go to the nurse. Since a young kid, I was trying to avoid class. And then in the nurse's office, I remember there was a wall of got milk with all the cool athletes with the white mustache. I remember.
Yep.
And I thought milk was the coolest thing ever because I saw Michael Jordan did it and my favorite tennis player did it and all these pretty girls were doing it. And I remember going home and I chugged a gallon of milk. Literally, probably half the gallon I chugged. And I tried to get the same mustache as them. And now I'm telling you, I was in like the 2nd grade. So obviously, I don't think at that point anyone's told me like, this is what a role model is. This is what you shouldn't do. I think from such a young age, you kind of just see someone, you resonate with them for whatever reason. I was obsessed with Harry Styles. I can't tell you why. I don't know. And like he was, my role model for the longest time, just from the music he sang. And that's that. So I don't know if we even have a choice in like, should they be role models? Now, yes, they carry the responsibility of having a platform.
Sure.
So whatever you're going to say, you need to understand that millions of people are going to really resonate with what you said. So that goes to part B of my Kyrie Irving story when he posted the link to the documentary that denied the Holocaust and I publicly condemned him. It seemed like he didn't understand the impact he had on his 17 million followers, which keep in mind is more than views in the world. And he said something that pissed me off. Like he said something like, he basically just said I didn't do anything wrong, even though he very obviously did. And like someone said, but why do people need to even listen to him? He said what he said, get over it. It's like, when he doesn't have 17 million followers, maybe we won't care, but he does. And when
Right.
he tweets something, it goes viral. So
your
yeah,
point
call
is
it a
it doesn't
burden.
actually matter whether they want to be or not. They are.
They
It
are.
doesn't
They
matter
are.
whether we want, they are. I'm going to date myself. It was even worse. I remember Bruce Jenner. Yes,
I mean,
I
I
know.
did too. I was a Kardashians girl.
It's Caitlyn Jenner. No. When she was Bruce Jenner, and he was on the Wheaties box in the 70s.
See, I don't know.
I'm dating myself. And I ate Wheaties because I thought I'm going to be in the Olympics now because I'm eating Wheaties because Bruce Jenner eats Wheaties and he's the man. So I'm going to go do this and so yeah, I get it. I did exactly the same thing. You were drinking milk. I was eating Wheaties. It's the same thing. 100% same thing. But yes, I thought it's funny using the Bruce Jenner thing, but it's actually true.
By the way, it doesn't even go as far as Kyrie Irving, and I'm not going to even compare my exposure to their amount. But yes, just yesterday, I tweeted something about Iran, and I used the wrong flag of Iran. I used the flag that basically the Islamic Republic uses versus the one that a free Iran would be using. And now I'm getting close to 100,000 impressions, and I see my comments are correcting me. Now, me not being an A-list celebrity already felt the responsibility to correct myself, because even something like that I know could have an effect on people. Even something so small, and call it a burden, call it whatever you want. When you sign up to give your life to the public eye, whether it's intentional or not, like some people are like, I just want to play basketball and leave. You're on the TV. You're in the public eye. You own an Instagram account. You're in the, because a lot of people don't, by the way. Jokic doesn't. He's going to, arguably, he might be MVP. He doesn't have Instagram. And guess what? He doesn't have controversy either because he doesn't post.
Yep.
So, you sign up for it. And call it a burden. That's what it is. You need to.
I agree. This is a choice. No one forced these guys to be superstars. They made a choice, and they make tons of. I agree with you completely. By the way, we got some people here who actually are with me. Dave says, Bruce Jenner Wheaties winning the decathlon. He remembers that's what was on the box. Dave remembers it was him winning the decathlon. He's right. I can't believe how these are my people, Emily. See, they know me. Exactly. Brian says, I'm like 7 years older than you, and I remember Bruce Jenner and his Olympic performances. He's my favorite X-Man. Yes, meaning the decathlon. Yes, the 10-man. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. It's very funny. See, all my brothers and sisters here, they remember. So, yes. Jay says, our professional athletes should be celebrated for their accomplishment for both their work ethic and dedication to their God-given talent. But as parents, it's also important to point out when our athletes aren't perfect and that they too make mistakes and we can learn from. So they are heroic, given that they have a platform from us to learn from their positive traits as well as their mistakes. Interesting.
Whoever said that was spot on. Listen, humanity is not perfect. I'm not perfect. I know what I know, and I might be an expert in X, but I'm not an expert in Y or Z. And I'm allowed to make mistakes too. And it doesn't mean I should, God forbid, be deplatformed. This goes back to a conversation I actually had over the weekend. I think parents carry a responsibility of educating between right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think, for example, if LeBron James goes out and he advocates for, I don't know, what's something really controversial? Just hit me.
I don't know. He decides that I don't know, we should all have drag queen story hour. That's controversial.
Okay. If LeBron goes out and he says that, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, let's go LeBron James. Especially kids are very influenced easily. But at that point, if you're a parent and you have kids on social media, that's your job then to just educate them whether you feel it's appropriate or you feel it's not. And I think it's very important also amongst parents to not force things on their kids. This goes both ways. I see a lot of parents.
This is hard, Emily. What you're asking for is really hard. You're asking parents to not force, I agree, and not believe in the guy who says the thing he believes in. This is challenging for them. And they're watching TikTok, they're watching Instagram, they're watching, not Facebook anymore, they're watching Twitter. This is a tough thing you're asking.
Listen, all I know is I grew up a tomboy, right? And like a severe tomboy. Like I was a girl in the grass with the bugs and the mud, and I was gross. I was like nasty, honestly. But imagine I came to my parents as a 4-year-old or 7-year-old tomboy who played soccer and tennis and even spoke like just very aggressive. Imagine they now kind of forced me to go into the whole like LGBTQ scene, and then eventually I get older and I might not even believe what I believed when I was younger. But then it also goes both ways. Like some parents just won't accept having gay or lesbian children or whatever it is. And I think it's important to say your part as a parent and be a good educator and be an ally, but also not, kind of go with whatever is cool right now and with whatever society is promoting and just like lose.
But here is my worry, right? Here is my worry. Now I have LeBron James or whoever's the cool player of the day in whatever sport I like, right? Whatever it is. And I'm young and I'm impressionable. And that sports player says what they feel because they are by default a role model. And they think this thing is good, whatever the thing is good. You should watch the movie. You should watch TikTok because TikTok is awesome, and watch everything that China tells us to watch. I believe that's true, right? Because I'm probably getting paid by China. So I'm happy to say that because I'm in the NBA making cash. So I say China's awesome, right? Whatever, I do the thing. So when I do that, how does a kid or kids in this, maybe millions of kids, how do they know that I'm not just being a bad guy because I want to get my cash from China versus I honestly believe this is the right thing? This is a hard thing.
That's an issue.
I'm not asking you a question you can answer, but I think it's one we deal with, right? You see sports personalities, you know how powerful they are. You've admitted, I admit it, they are powerful. They affected both of us. So what happens when they're corrupt?
It's a problem that goes a lot bigger than just, I would call that like propaganda at that point, but it goes the same way now for social media, where you could call me an influencer. I don't love the term, but you can. And now I have other influencer friends where I really value their opinion personally, but I see them post a brand ad, but I don't know it's an ad. They're posting something they received for a company, and they're telling all the followers, everyone go buy this product. Now I'll text them on the side, like, hey, do you really like it? And they'll be like, no. But you just told your million followers to go buy it, but you're getting paid by them, of course, which is, by the way, me as an influencer, and I've missed so much money on this, so call me an idiot, but I don't do advertisements that I don't believe in, because then like if my followers get pissed, that's on me. But it's a problem where it's like we're being deceived in a way because money talks. I had a conversation earlier with Fox News. I was telling them about my new vegan skincare company. And they were saying how so many skincare companies, like unlike mine, say that they're not cruelty free. But then someone starts an investigation and they're testing on animals in their factory and they say that they're not. But we wouldn't know. And we're living in this society where social media makes it easy to be deceived and reach millions and millions of people. You could call it unprecedented times. I don't know how to handle it. Like, I'm figuring it out myself because I'm also being lied to.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. Joe says they should advocate for pineapple on pizza. You're talking to two New Yorkers, Joe. So no. See, even she knows. No, and no. Two New Yorkers, Joe. No. In fact, I will say this always. I'm a libertarian with the exception of people who want pineapple on the pizza. If you want pineapple on your pizza, you lose all of your rights. Done. You lose all of them. You have no rights. They're all gone. They're all gone. No pineapple on pizza. You're talking to two New Yorkers, Joe. You should not have. That's crazy. Anyway, yes. So, but then let me move to the next piece if I could. Does the actual, do the organizations, the NBA, the NHL, right, whatever, do they have a responsibility here? And should they be? In other words, I'm some guy who says, the perfect example is the hockey guy. I wish I remember his name. But the hockey guy says, I'm not supporting LGBT stuff. I'm not doing it. But the NHL says, we as an organization will. Does the NHL have the right to say, dude, you got to support the stuff we support or you can't play? Is that fair? Is that right? Or does it matter?
Did he face any consequences for not wearing it?
I think he didn't play, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Oh, no.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. He just didn't go out. I think that's what it was. He didn't go out. Yes.
So to me, that's freedom of expression. If you as the NHL, which it's not really fair to speak on behalf of every player in the NHL, because it's probably a couple of board people that decided what you stand for, whatever, go ahead. But then don't ever penalize someone for not agreeing with you. Of course, by the way, there's a fine line. I'm not saying go now and be a psycho, anti-Semite, racist, crazy conspiracy theorist. That's unacceptable. But then again, you can't penalize someone for not agreeing with you. That's like,
yeah, but this is a tough one, right? Now, let's say I have someone who is in I run the NHL, and there's some hockey player who, whatever, he's anti-Semitic, he doesn't like Jews, right? Whatever, he says something, whatever, I don't care about him, whatever, right? He says that. well, I'm as NHL, I don't want to attack Jewish people. So I'm like, no, we're totally cool. But he says that thing. Am I able, or should I be able to go, you know what? You're out. You can't do this. The NHL doesn't say these things. You can say these things in America's freedom of speech, but you can't be part of the NHL and say them. Sorry, you got to go. Is that something that's okay? And is there a line? And I think it's a question that we're dealing with right now with a lot of people trying to decide what's that line. At what point does the organization have the right to say, Emily, you got to go, right? Because we believe in the thing and you don't.
Listen, yes, that's a good point. Where's the line? But I think there is a difference in saying, I don't want to wear the flag because it goes against my religion versus I hate gays. Two completely different things. That's not the same thing. Because just like, by the way, in my religion, you're not allowed to be gay either. I have many gay friends and I don't care. I really don't care. I know a lot of Jewish gay people too. I know Jewish trans people. I really don't care. And that's part of like the things we believe in, like you do you and let me do me.
Right.
But there is that point where it's like, if someone says I hate Jews, correct. That's freedom of expression, by the way. And you can totally say that if you feel like it. But now, should you work for an organization that reflects, not promoting hate speech? And
absolutely.
I remember something happened in the NBA. Myers Leonard said Kike. He said that word that I say as a Jew. I just don't feel like saying it. And for years, he was blackballed by the NBA. Now, I don't like that either, because I don't think deplatforming someone really, did he get educated from that by losing his job and his career? No. Was it okay? Absolutely not. I'm more of a person that would have taken Julian Edelman's approach. Hey, Myers, I heard what you said. Let's have a conversation and sit there and educate one another. I don't like the way the Kyrie Irving situation was handled. I don't like it at all. I would have approached him from a humane place. Hey, listen, I'm a Jew. I'm definitely not an Orthodox Jew, but I want to let you know, here's what you said, why it hurt me, why it even affects your community, what you said, and here's how we can move past it. Not Kyrie Irving is now taking a Holocaust education program and the media is all over it and everyone's hating on him and we're just getting more and more and more divided. Then it became a black versus Jewish problem. And it became,
but hold on, isn't this part of our whole big problem with the idea of, I want to be a personality now, right? So I'm not really going to get a bunch of likes if I go, hey, Emily, can we have a conversation? Versus I go, Emily's an evil person. She said the bad thing. Oh, don't ever talk to her ever. That's where I get my clicks, right? I get my clicks and my likes when I start calling you names and saying how bad you are. Then all of a sudden I get my clicks. So while I think you're right, don't you think we have an environment that doesn't reward the good behavior and instead rewards the bad behavior, right? If I yell and scream and call you names, people are clicking. If you and I are having a conversation, they're watching somebody else.
You're 100% right. You definitely, and I've been on the other side of being bullied for the clicks, but I think it's easy to get carried away with the media. But I realized, I don't know what it was that maybe triggered it, where there's just a bigger cost at stake here. Like I could go ahead and be that journalist and screw people over and leak the news that I overheard on an echo in a hallway and get 1 million likes on it. Two reasons why I won't. I value relationships over clicks, and I believe in human-to-human interactions. I think that's the only way society can become a better place through good communication. Right. B, karma. Like, I don't know when people stopped believing in karma. Like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be a bad person for clicks. Like, I'll be taught a lesson and it won't be pretty. So yeah, obviously it's easier to go ahead and get the clicks, but the cost that's at stake is everyone will have their eye opener. Hopefully everyone will have an eye opener sooner than later, but
let's totally shift if we could, total shift. And Pete asked a question, which is dollars, government, politics, now going into sports. Peter's idea, New York taxpayers are going to shell out $850 million for the new Buffalo Bills stadium, taxation's theft. So this concept of government using sports teams to get votes or to get, things like that, it feels horrible to me. Don't get me wrong. I love the Yankees. I want them to stay in New York City, right? I hope they do. But what happens if all of a sudden someone says, you know what? You got to now pay $1 bazillion to keep them here. I don't know if I want to.
I would not. I would be infuriated. I believe, and it's so funny you're asking me this now. Just this morning, I had an epiphany. I spoke with UNESCO about a sports global conference and how really, as we started the conversation, I believe that sports can help change society for the better. I think that money should be going to a local community to fund maybe a local sports team so that we can get maybe kids who can't afford a sports team or kids who, I don't know, really it's money at the end of the day. Sports became expensive. What happened to all accessible? It's really not anymore. It's really like AAU is expensive and it's a lot of time and energy and effort and parents involved. What if you don't have parents? How about that? So I think if anything, those dollars should be going to not an organization like the Buffalo Bills or the Yankees that already have billions of dollars. Versus like, a local Manhattan community where no matter what financial status you come from, what skin color you are, race, gender, whatever it is, you can come play sports here. And, we'll teach you those community skills and you'll have a coach. Did you ever watch Coach Carter?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I love that movie. It's a
Absolutely.
movie, of course, but I feel like those relationships really change your life. Not the taxpayers going to the freaking Buffalo Bills. Like, I don't even watch football. I'm going to go pay money now for them to have a team. I don't watch baseball.
Yes.
I'm going to pay for the Yankees to stay in New York. Go to Kansas. I don't care.
Yes, but you should watch baseball because Yankees are awesome. I'm kidding. Anyway, but yes,
they are. Yes. I don't want to pay for you to be there. Am I getting VIP seats to pay for your facility?
Maybe that's what we got to do. Okay, I gotta get you some VIP seats. That's what I got to do. Okay, that's how it works. Look, at least I know. At least I know how much I gotta pay to get you to be like Yankees are good. Okay, that's how I get you to sponsor them. Okay, fine, I got it. Yes. So Josh is with you. Josh says, "I'll support my team by buying tickets, hats, and gear. Please don't steal my money for a billionaire stadium with his millionaire employees."
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree. Right. I literally have, I literally have more than one Yankee hat. I have more than one Yankee jersey. Like I buy them because that's how I support the team. And I go to Yankee games. So I go to the game and I buy the $7 hot dog or whatever they charge me for the hot dog.
$17 water.
Yeah. I buy that stuff and that's how I support my team. You do not have to pay, Emily. I got you covered. We're good. I got you covered when it comes to the Yankees. So Missy says, on karma, if your actions were to boomerang back on you instantly, would you still act the same? A quote from Alexandra.
I'm stealing that from you. I'm literally tweeting that. So screenshot that for me.
There we go. Right there. Missy, you're a winner. There we go. Absolutely. MVP. So yeah, this is a good one. I like that. So I guess my final point, I think, if I have one here, is I think most people look at sports as I said earlier, one of the last places of a real meritocracy. We've lost meritocracy in a lot of other areas of our life, right? Where now this person gets ahead because either they know somebody or they have an ethnic background or because they went to some certain thing, whatever. So they're getting ahead not because of their merit. But I think we feel, at least in America, that sports is still that, right? Yeah. I'm the top of my game because I worked hard and I've got skill and the whole deal and I got there. I feel like that makes them almost better than human in many people's minds. So we want them to be perfect, right? Even though they aren't, I think we want them to be perfect. Right. So when they aren't, doesn't that just devastate us? Like, my God, how could she do that? I thought she was perfect. How could she do that? I feel like it's in a way unhealthy and that we should have a different way of looking at our heroes. Am I off here?
I think you're 100% correct. And I think that's why we see many celebrities today struggle the most with depression and just, because, reading those Instagram comments, at some point, maybe you stop caring, but there'll still be a message or two or three that still stick, even though you promise not to let it get to you. I remember the first message I saw that hurt was, I've gotten crazy stuff. It doesn't hurt because I'm true to myself. And like the boomerang thing, I live true to myself. So I often don't live with regret. But I saw one comment that's not something I could change. Someone wrote to me, I really admired you and you were a great role model until I found out you were Jewish. And I was like, oh, my poor little Jewish heart just broke. And I was so sad. But you know what? I answered him. I wrote, why?
Yeah.
Just why? He felt so stupid after that. He's like, well, because you guys oppress Palestinians and you guys do this and you guys do that. And I bothered having that 40-minute debate back and forth, trying to tell him, here's what you heard, but here's why you're wrong. Guess what? He still follows me. He still likes my posts. We're cool. We're like little social media exchange people now. I haven't spoken to him since that. But it's just like, messages hurt. At the end of the day, it's easy to be bold behind a screen. But what someone writes, guess what? They actually reflect what they're saying. Things start on the screen, but they can very easily go off the screen. Same thing with hate. Anti-Semitism online is anti-Semitism offline. Racism online is racism offline. You don't feel a way online and change face to face. You might be a little more cowardly in person. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I guess the issue is I would like us, and I try to be this way, and I try to be with other people. I'd like us to be more empathetic. I'd like us to be more empathetic and lead with empathy when we have differences, right? And try to, look, there's some, you did, when a guy hits you with that, you could have just called him an anti-Semite and scolded him and called him names. But what you did when you did what you said was ask why is now other people were watching. And your argument was also for that other person too. It was for both of them, right? I'd be like, oh, is that how that works? People see everything that we do. So that person now also, this is what a lot of people don't like to hear. When people are in some way biased, they've decided, including in this case, he decided all Jews are evil, all Jews are bad. He's decided this, right? The way he could change his mind is by first saying, the first step is, maybe they're not all bad. That's the first step. Then he goes, oh, maybe most of them aren't bad. Oh, wait, maybe they're not bad. And that's how that works, right? You can't just go, like you said, don't flip a switch. But if he's watching you, you might be his first, okay, they're not all bad. You might be his first one. And before you know it, who knows what happens, right? There's got to be one, right? There's got to be one for sure. So
if I could leave on one single point, it would kind of piggyback off of what you just said, where I truly believe that one human interaction can change your life. And that can go good and that can go bad. And that's just nature, and I can't control that. So don't get mad at me for saying that. It's just true. And, growing up, if you meet, I don't know, if you're a little kid and you meet, you know what? If I was a little arrogant, disgusting kid and this kid is meeting me and I'm wearing my Star of David and I'm telling you I'm a Jew and you're a POS and you're ugly and I hate you. And this kid, I'm the first Jew he's ever spoken to. He's going to have this negative, whatever you call it, toward Jewish people. But same thing when he's older, if I'm the person that, I don't know how you know I'm Jewish, but let's say it's from the necklace or from social media, and I treat you with kindness and respect. The guy hates Jews. You might be the person that just showed them, look, we're not all like that. And that goes for every demographic. I don't care what you identify as, what religion, what skin, it doesn't matter. You being a good person, it can change someone's life. Because now that person may speak to someone else who speaks to someone else, and it's like that match effect,
Absolutely. Joe says it right. Plant the first seed. Of course. I do love that. So guys, if you like what we're talking about, please click that like button. The like button gets me around algorithm. I need to get past Al. He's always blocking me. So please do that. Click that like button. Also, if you're watching on Twitter, retweet it so other people can see it. It does matter tremendously. Do that. And of course, Emily's been so good to us, giving us a bit of her time. Give her a little bit of yours. Follow her on Instagram at emily.austin or follow her on Twitter at emilyraustin. All her details are in the description, in Facebook and on YouTube. If you're watching either one of those, please do that. It is helpful. It does matter tremendously. And Josh says, our culture is lacking empathy. The older I get, the more I meet all types of people dealing or have dealt with horrible things. We all have these experiences. He is correct. He's correct. Emily, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your day. I appreciate it so much. Everyone else for watching, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will probably be off tomorrow, but I will be back on Thursday talking about to a socialist who's going to give us all the ways that socialism can solve all of our problems. I'm sure you'll love that. 7 p.m. on Thursday. I will see you.